A mother's tears that turn into curse that affect the innocent ones. Let's watch the video to see if the curse truly from the mother's tears or the village's silence and guilty. Let's watch and find out. They say a mother's tears can heal, but mine cursed us all. My name is Adaora, first daughter of the Njoku family. My mother, Nena, was a quiet woman. Not weak, quiet. The kind of quiet that hides thunder behind smiles. People feared her silence more than a man's shout. We were 5 children, 3 sons, 2 daughters, and our father, Obidike, was a king in his own mind. Loud. Proud. Cruel. He beat her, he cheated, he sold her gold earrings, the ones her own mother had given her, to buy drinks for men who called her the dumb wife. She never said a word. But she cried. Only once. The night my youngest brother, Chisholm, died of a fever. She had begged him to be taken to a herbalist. Father refused. No child of mine will drink roots like a goat, he said. By morning, Chisholm's lips were blue. That night, I found my mother alone, rocking an empty wrapper as though she still held her son. Tears ran down her face in silence. She whispered something, not to me, but to the ground. Let my tears speak where my voice could not. The next morning, she was gone, not dead. Just gone, no note. No farewell. Just silence and the smell of cold ashes in the heart. At first, we thought she had run. Escaped. But then things began to change. Father fell sick. Not like malaria. Not like anything the doctors knew. He would wake up screaming at night. Clawing at his chest, shouting her name. Then my brother Ifoni lost his sight, on a clear day, while farming. No accident. No injury. Just blindness. Then Emeka, my oldest brother, found snakes coiled in his bed. 3 nights in a row. The last time, they didn't bite. They just watched him. Like they were waiting, the villagers began to talk. She cursed her own blood. A mother's sorrow becomes a spirit's vengeance. She cried once. And that one tear became a river of wrath. I wanted to believe they were wrong. That coincidence was playing tricks on us. Until I saw her, in a dream. She stood at the foot of my bed, wrapped in white, hair wet, eyes red like fire soaked in water. Did you forget, Adaora? She asked. My tears were for all of you. But not all of you chose to listen. Then why am I suffering too? I asked her. She leaned close, voice softer than breath, because you stayed silent when you should have screamed. The next morning, I knew what I had to do. I went to the village square. I stood before the elders. Before the shrine. Before the tree where generations made oaths, and I confessed. Every slap I heard but ignored, every bruise I saw but explained away. Every cry I silenced with murmur is strong. I wept in front of the whole village. Not from guilt alone but from the weight of finally speaking what we had buried for years, and the strangest thing happened. It rained, not a storm. Just soft, steady rain. The kind that falls like a mother's tears. Days later, father died. Peacefully. No screams. No snakes. Ifoni's side never returned, but he says he sees more clearly now than ever before. Emeka left the village. He walks from town to town teaching men how to unlearn violence. How not to be our father. As for me, I built a shrine by the river, not for worship, but remembrance. Every woman who's ever been silenced leaves a stone there. Every daughter, a song, and every year, on the day my mother disappeared, the river overflows, gently, never destructively, as if to say, she hears us now, she forgives, but she will never forget. It's been 5 years since the curse lifted, 5 years since I confessed to the village. Since the rain came, soft like her touch, and we thought it was over, but curses. They don't always end. Sometimes, they shift. The river by the shrine began to rise every year on the same date, the night my mother vanished. At first, we saw it as her blessing. People brought flowers. Daughters danced barefoot. Even the men knelt, but this year, the river didn't stop rising, it swallowed crops. It reached the steps of the shrine. It stole the voice of birds, and then the first dream came back. She stood before me again, my mother, wet hair dripping, white wrapper clinging to her like second skin. But this time, her eyes were not red, they were black. Like the bottom of a well. You told your story, she said, but not hers. Who? I asked, and then I saw her, a girl, maybe 16, skin like burnt bronze, eyes full of fear. She stood behind my mother, holding her stomach. I bled for silence, she said. And you built a shrine instead of a voice. I woke up screaming, the village heard. They gathered. I told them everything. That the curse wasn't just ours. That my mother's tears had become a river for every girl whose story ended in shadows. The shrine had become a memorial, but what the river wanted now was justice. That night, I returned to the river alone. The waters had crept halfway up the shrine. I stood barefoot in it and said, "Tell me what you want." And from beneath the surface, I heard them, many voices. Many girls. Many names, not just my mother, not just the girl in the dream, but daughters no one remembered, girls who were silenced, beaten, buried in shame, and forgotten. Their tears had joined hers. The next day, we opened the shrine not just for remembrance but for truth. We called it the mouth of the river. Every girl in the village, no matter her age, no matter her shame, was allowed to speak, and they did. Stories spilled like floodwater. Stories of uncles, of fathers, of pastors, of teachers, men we had praised, men we had protected. Not anymore. Some fled, some confessed, some begged for mercy, but we weren't looking for revenge, only truth. The river hasn't flooded since. Now it sings, a quiet, steady song, like a mother humming to a child finally safe. And every year, on the day she vanished, the water glows under moonlight. We say it's her smile. Curses don't break, they turn, and sometimes they become rivers, not to drown us, but to cleanse us. They once feared the river, then they prayed to it. Now, they listen, because the river carries names now, mine, hers, theirs. It's been 10 years since the shrine became the mouth of the river, a sacred space not for gods, but for girls who once had no voice. What started as a place of sorrow is now the center of every new beginning. No marriage happens in our village without the bride first standing in the river and speaking her truth. No man becomes chief unless he's walked barefoot through the waters and named every girl he's ever wronged, even in silence. Even our sons now ask the river for permission to love, to lead, to live honestly, because we learned something no shrine ever taught us. Purity is not silence. It's honesty. Strength is not violence. It's accountability, and healing is not forgetting. It's remembering without shame. But the real miracle came last season, during the Harmattan, when the river should have dried thin. We found a girl floating near the edge, barely alive. Eyes swollen, wrist bruised. She had run from a village miles away. When she woke up, she asked one thing: is this the river where mothers speak? We took her in. We wrapped her in warmth. We taught her the songs. She never spoke her pain, not at first. But she stood in the water and wept, and that was enough. Weeks later, more girls came, then women, then entire families, not just from our land, but from faraway towns, each one drawn by the whispers of the water. One evening, I stood where the monument once was, now a wide, open gathering place surrounded by lanterns and stones engraved with first names only, and I felt her, my mother, not as a ghost, not as a curse, but as a presence, warm, watching. Proud, I closed my eyes, placed my feet in the water, and said, "You were the first voice, and now, even the silence speaks because of you." They call me the daughter of the river now, but really, I'm just a woman who listened, to tears, to silence, to stories soaked in shame that finally rose like mist from the river, because in the end, grief doesn't destroy, it transforms, and the river, it remembers, it heals, it never forgets our names.